Hello friends, in my last video I showed you how you can insert a document inside a collection using PyMongo. So I have written a code with the help of which the data insertion took place, and that was with the help of Postman, because I made use of Django REST framework. Now I already said in my last video that I am creating a special playlist where I will be showing different operation in context to Django and MongoDB. And in my last video I showed how to insert the record inside MongoDB. Now extending that particular video forward, I want to say over here is Django has a feature called signals. I'm very sure you must be aware about signals, which actually gets triggered automatically when different type of operation happen, like when you are trying to insert a record inside a model. So you can give a call to pre signals even after record getting saved inside your model. You can give post signals. If you want, when you are giving a call to HTTP template, you can come up with signals. So for that reason I have written a small note over here that what are different signals that are available. So pre-saved, post-save, pre-delete, post-delete, if you request template, and after the template has been delivered. So these are six different most popular signals that you can make use of inside Django. But the problem is we are using over here not PostgreSQL, because if you're using Postgres, then Django provides you the ORM. In that case these signals get triggered automatically. But since in this particular playlist I'm reflecting on MongoDB, so for that reason the signals will not generate automatically. Rather you have to come up with a custom signals. Hence, my dear friends, signals get triggered automatically when following operations are being executed by the developers, or when the user performs a particular event. Just like the way as you stand with your vehicle on a particular road where there is a signal, so based on the signal you take a decision what to do. Same thing over here. Signals are independent. When a particular event is occurring, based on that the signal will get triggered automatically. And as you can see over here, that when you are inserting a record in the model, before that the pre-saved signal will work, and after the insertion of the tuple has taken place successfully, the post signal will take place. Similarly, when you are planning to delete a particular document or a tuple from a model, pre-delete will take place, and once the deletion has been successful, post-delete will take place. So if you request a particular template, request started will be executed, and once the request has been handled successfully by the server, the request finish, Django signal will get executed. So these are the different signals that will happen. But as I said, I'm working on MongoDB. In that case I have to use a bit of different strategy over here, which is a bit challenging. So that's the reason this particular video will be very effective for you. So let me take you how exactly I have implemented the signal over here. My requirement is, in my last video I showed that I was successfully able to insert data in my collection, but now I want to add one small validation, and that is, before I insert a record in the collection, I want to ensure that the email ID which I am providing, it should be unique. That means if two or more users try to save a particular document with the same email ID, the insertion will not be allowed. So this validation I have implemented with the help of signals. So let's move on step by step. The first thing is that let's come to my application, and I've already registered my application inside my settings.py. As you can see right over here, the application has been set up. Okay, now I have created one particular file called signals.py. Here it is. I will explain this entire thing. Now by default, whenever you're working on signals, you have to register your signal inside the apps.py, like what I have done inside the ready function of the application. But as I am working on a custom signal, for that reason if you see over here, it has been inactive. Okay, but had this been like if you are working on the ORM, then the signal will be like, if you apply the if I registered the signal in the apps, it will be active at that point of time. Nonetheless, Even though it's not working in that context, still I have written over there. That's a good practice. Now let me tell you what I have done in the signal first. So what is my intention? My intention is when the user will add a record, the insertion of the document will take place provided the email ID is a valid email ID. So for that reason I have to create one signal. So when you create a signal, you give a call to the module called Django.dispatch import signal. So here I have created a custom signal by the name called pre-mongo saved. In the note I showed you that there is pre_saved, but this is going to work for the ORM in context to SQLite or MySQL or PostgreSQL. But in context to NoSQL, you have to create a custom signal. So this is basically a custom signal that will trigger before a document gets saved inside a collection. I give the name of the custom signal as pre_mongo_save. It is your choice, whatever name you feel like you can give it. And this is of type signals. So with the help of this package you can create new custom signals. Good, fine. Now in my last video I showed you that we have to implement Mongo client and all those things. So in this video I'm not talking about that. So here I have given a call to the specific collection and specific database. So here is my database present, which is my collection. Okay, so my database name is right over here, and within the database I have a collection called employee, as we can see right over here. Let me show you that. Here it is. This is my database, this is my collection name. If I come and refresh over here, I will find that there is no document present right now inside the particular collection called employee, right? Okay, fine. Now what I want to give a call to the, what is this? You know very well, anything that represents @ sign, it means it's a decorator. So I have to give a call to the decorator called receiver. So this decorator is coming from the Django.dispatch. So this receiver will do what? It will register this particular signal, which is my custom signal. It is going to register this custom signal and it is going to connect with this particular function. So @receiver is going to register a particular custom signal with an associated function, and that has to be done with the help of decorator called receiver. Please remember, when you are working on a custom signal, you have to use @receiver decorator, because you have to associate, you have to connect the signal reference with a particular method so that the method gets executed when a particular event is happening. So I have done this registration, is perfectly fine. I give the name as before document saved. So you are free to choose whatever name you feel like. Now when you are writing a signal that is specifically a custom signal, which often becomes challenging, is there are certain rules which you have to remember. The first rule is that every function which is going to be registered as a signal should have the following 3 parameters. Well, why 3? Well, the first parameter, sender, you have to write it, because that determines that when this particular event is happening. Okay, or if you want to pass any extra string, that you also can do it. Like in my case, I didn't work on this particular parameter. I will show you that, but still as a convention you have to give this particular parameter, that is sender. The second one is the document that I want to register. That means when I will submit this particular document, which is my object, or you can say dictionary, that will come right over here. Don't worry, I will show you that even. Okay, let me show you that parallelly, then it will be easy for you to follow. So let me take you to the views.py and let me split the screen so that you can see both the file together. And here it is. Let's give it aside. So as you can see over here, that how this particular signal I'm calling, if I scroll up over here, let me show you that here is my connectivity for the database has all been set. Now what I want is only when a particular route takes place, and the route is register_employee, because inside the urls.py I have mentioned that when I will be typing this register endpoint, then only this particular API function will be getting called. So only when this particular API function will be getting called, then only I want to register my signal. I repeat, I don't want to register my signal by default. Why? Because it needs to have the document, right? Unless and until I provide the document, that means this particular object, on what basis the signal is going to work. And since this is a custom signal, so I have to ensure when exactly this signal is going to call. In my note I mentioned that ORM, if you are implementing ORM, the signal will be called based on ORM. But here I am not working on Postgres, SQLite or MySQL. For that reason I have to ensure that when exactly the signal has to be called. And there's a reason at the very beginning I said that custom signals are a bit challenging. You have to remember the sequence. So for that reason, this implementation of the signal. I didn't do it by default. It will happen if and only if the user comes to this particular endpoint, this particular register endpoint, then only it's going to work. So if you see over here, this is my app name called Mongo underscore app. This is my app name, Mongo underscore app. Inside that I have got a file called signals, and within that I have registered this particular method, this particular signal reference. That's what I'm calling it over here. So that means, again I'm saying, when the user will come specifically to this particular endpoint, that means when the user will type in the API this particular endpoint, then only at that point of time the signal will be activated, otherwise not. Fine. Now inside my Postman, I have given the following key value pairs. Name is there, let me keep it like this way. Name is there, address, department, email, active. So all 5 attribute I have taken over here input. Very good. And now I'm checking whether user has given all the input for all these 5 fields. These are all compulsory fields, user need to give the input. Okay, very good. Now what I'm doing, if the validation is successful, then I'm creating one dictionary like what I did in the last video. Absolutely fine. Now I'm going to give a call to my signal. So this is the place where the signal is going to get called. Remember, this is a custom signal. So had this been only pre_save signal, you didn't write this particular line. It would have been invoked automatically. But since it's a custom signal, it will not work. Again I'm saying, if it was a ORM like Postgres, SQLite, MySQL, it would invoke automatically. But in case of custom signal, you have to be very careful where exactly you want the signal to be called. So look over here how I'm calling. So this is my reference name which I mentioned over here, which I have added over here. I'm giving a call to the method called send. So send method will actually give a call to the function that is responsible for the signal generation. So when you write send, it will come to the receiver decorator and it will give a call to this particular function. So over here, how many parameters I'm passing? I'm passing 2 parameters. The first parameter is sender. I'm not sending anything, so that's the reason the sender parameter is deactivated. Then I'm passing the document parameter. Inside the document I have got dictionary, that's what I'm passing. So this document will come right over here. That means whatever input I will be taking in my JSON object, which I have already mentioned right over here, that document I am sending via the parameter called document, and that will come right over here. So here exactly we are going to perform the validation. So once the control comes to this particular line, the control will simply jump from here to here, right? I will not write this one. Let me open over here. It will come directly over here. It will assign the following parameter, and now we are going to do the inspection. So the document holds my email ID. So with the help of get method, I will fetch the value from the key called email, which I have given right over here. Let me keep it this side now. So this value john@gmail will come over here inside the email. Now first I'm checking whether the user has already given a value or not. I know I already did the validation over here, but again if you do the validation, nothing wrong, right? So you are ensuring once again that yes, email ID given by the user. So once email ID is there, now we are giving a call to collection, which is referring to my collection name called email _find_1. So this is my select star from table name where employee ID is something. That kind of SQL query is getting generated. So find_1 will be responsible for performing a search operation inside the following collection, that is called email, and from there it is going to pick up the data, and that data, in case if there is already one email ID on document by the following email ID, that will come over here. If that happens, that means already the email ID is existing. That means this variable will hold that particular tuple or document. In that case, if condition will become true, and this following error message will take place, value error, that the email ID already exists. Once this value error will be generated, the control will come back right over here and the process will be terminated. So that means this save part will not happen at that point of time. Rather, I will be seeing that error email ID already exists, this message in my Postman. Again I am saying this will happen if and only if a particular document with the email ID provided by the user exist, then only this particular if condition is going to be true, otherwise not. Like for example, at this point of time, let me refresh once again. My collection is completely empty and there is no document present inside my collection. So for that reason, when I will be firing this particular SQL command, naturally at that point of time, this is the condition which I have mentioned over here. That condition is not going to be true. Rather, I will say email, whatever email I have given does not exist, and the document will give successfully. So along with that, once this particular message will come in my terminal, the control will come back over here, and then the new record, the new document will be inserted in my collection. The message will be shown that document is successful. This entire dictionary will be generated. Response will forward the data dictionary into JSON string back to our postman, right, back to our front-end API. Okay, so let's run the code now. So here is my collection. Let me write over here and let me open the terminal also. Let me start my Python application, python manage.py run server, because we know that we are working on HTTP request and response, or we can say that we are working on WSGI. See, every now and then I mention the word WSGI because you need to keep it in mind that there are two type of file system. One is WSGI, which is meant for HTTP request and response, which is basically stateless, and the other file is ASGI, which is asynchronous server gateway interface, which is actually real time, and that is based on WebSocket. So right now we are working on HTTP request and response. So keep this thing always in your mind. Okay, so already my connectivity or the view method has been taken successfully, and that's the reason why we are seeing the existing database name, and we are working on the following collection. All this thing I have mentioned in my last video, so please go and check that one to get more details about this one. Now let me insert the record. So I have my postman ready with me, and there is no record or no document present in the collection right now. So naturally my if condition is going to be false. This if condition will not work, and I will see the message email ID does not exist, saving document, and the record will finally get saved. So let me fire this particular JSON right now. So as I click over here, let's look at the response. See, email ID john@gmail.com does not exist because if condition didn't get successful, and it got the document inserted successfully over here, and in fact we got the response, and the HTTP request 201 also got successfully generated. So now if I come back to my MongoDB, if I refresh over here, quite naturally I will find that the document has inserted successfully over here. Fine. Okay, so now if I try to resave this thing once again, with the existing email ID already been true, naturally my if condition will become true this point of time, and I will be seeing this particular error message in my terminal. So let's come over here and let me try to resave this one once again. As I do that, see over here, internal server error took place, and I got a response error. So error, the value error is there. See, I got a response error. Email, the following email which I have mentioned, the email john@gmail.com already exists. That means new record insertion has not been performed inside my collection. So if you want to ensure yourself, click on the refresh button and see there is only one document still existing inside my collection. But in case if I modify my email ID, let me do that. So here, instead of having John Parker, let me have John Carter this time. Carter, and let me change the email ID as johncarter@gmail.com. John_Carter@gmail.com, and this email ID is not there in my collection right now. So naturally I'm expecting that the record or the document should get saved successfully. See, document insertion successfully happened, and let's come to my MongoDB. Let's go for refresh. As I do that, you will find the second document inserted successfully over here without any issue. See, John Parker, and this is John Carter. So two different email ID is already there. Now if I try to resave this one once again, you will be getting the email validation error. Let's try to resave it for the last time. As I do that, see, internal server error, and the error email ID John_Carter already there. So in this particular video, what did we realize is signals are very important in our real life applications, because if something happening somewhere, we want to trigger the event. So for that reason, Django signals are quite important. We were being introduced with these 6 signals by default that Django provides, but in case of custom based signal, you have to do little bit of separate task, and you need to be very concerned how the signal is going to call. Hence, from this particular video, you understood, or I tried to explain you, that you can create a custom signal, and this is the way you have to call the signal. In my next video, which I was meant to perform my select query, again over there also I will try to invoke the signal once again. Okay, so that's all from this video presentation. See you soon. Bye bye.